Oui? Oui? Okay. Brunch. Chapter 9. Zach had an early morning track practice on Friday. If there's one thing he hated, it was getting up even earlier than usual and running around a track before he was awake. But for some reason, Coach Sonsky thought it built character. The coach was also a morning person. "Lift up those feet, Morris," he bellowed. "You're not skating, you're running track. At least that's a rumor." I like Coach Sonsky. Even if Zach was awake enough to think of a cute rejoinder, he was too out of breath to say it. So he waited until Coach Sonsky had headed back into the locker room for more juice. Then Zach jogged over to the bleachers to collapse. He bent over and tried to get his breath back. Why had he ever signed up for track? It was probably to impress some girl back when he was a freshman. Now he couldn't remember who. Meanwhile, he'd been running in circles for 4 years. "Zach, can we talk a minute?" Zach looked up. Kelly stood there in front of him, morning fresh and glowing. She bit her lower lip, a sure sign that she was nervous. "Okay," he panted. "At least you can talk." "Oh, listen, give me a chance to catch my breath." "Sorry to interrupt practice," Kelly said, sitting down next to him. "I'm not," Zach said. "I'm not," Zach said. "What's up?" Kelly twisted the hem of her skirt. "Well, I know what I'm going to ask is really none of my business. It's taken me a whole day to work up the nerve to talk to you." Uh-oh, Zach thought. Conversations that started this way always seemed to end up with him in the doghouse. "And you don't have to answer," Kelly said. "What is it, Kelly?" Zach asked cautiously. "But we were really close once," Kelly said, her blue eyes pleading. "And I guess I'm counting on that, so you'll give me an honest answer." "Kelly, you're worse than Screech," Zach said. "Just ask me." "Are you and Jesse really seeing each other?" Kelly blurted. "Or are you just pretending to make Slater and me jealous?" Zach felt a thrill of triumph. It had worked! Kelly was jealous. But then he hesitated. He hadn't expected his plan to boomerang back in his face like this. He hadn't expected Kelly to take the honest approach and ask him about it. She was supposed to steam silently and then fall into his arms. He hated when people took the honest approach, because then he felt as though he should be honest back. And hadn't he and Kelly broken up because he hadn't always been honest with her? Hadn't he promised to never, ever lie again? But he and Jesse had sworn a blood pact. Neither one of them would admit the truth. If he admitted the truth to Kelly, Slater would find out, and Jesse would be furious. Did he owe more to Jesse or Kelly? It was an impossible question, but Jesse had a meaner... It was an impossible question, but Jesse had a meaner right hook. Kelly's right hook sucks. Zach looked into Kelly's eyes. He knew that he had to make this the most convincing lie he'd ever told. If he lied now, Kelly could never, ever find out that he and Jesse hadn't had a brief romance. If she did, she'd never trust him ever again. "It's true, Kelly," he said in a quiet voice. "Jesse and I are involved. We started out to console each other, but then things changed." "Oh," Kelly said in a small voice. "I can understand that." "We didn't mean for it to happen," Zach said. "But then we saw you and Slater. We saw that it could work, and you know what? It does. You can be best friends and date too. Everything is so easy and natural." Kelly gulped. Zach was saying all the things she had said to him about Slater. She didn't realize how those words could hurt. "It could become pretty serious," Zach finished. "I think I owe it to you to tell you that." "Are you really, truly sure, Zach?" Kelly asked. "Is Jesse the one for you?" Zach nodded. "We're not dating anyone else. We're seeing where this takes us." He peeked at Kelly. She was gazing over the track field. There was a glaze in her eyes. Was it tears? Zach didn't want to hurt her, but maybe this would make her see that she still loved him. If that happened, the end would justify the means. They would all be happy again. These past few weeks have been murder for everyone. "Gosh, Zach," Kelly said woefully, "I'm really happy for you." She didn't look very happy. She looked like she'd been run over by a truck. Thanks, Kelly, Zach said. I know what you mean. I do, Kelly said. I'm just a little surprised, that's all. But I know you'd never lie to me. I know that you... Kelly stopped abruptly. She shaded her eyes with her hand and looked up. Irina had come up without Zach seeing her. She stood, smiling down at him. Good morning, she said. Sorry to interrupt. No problem, Kelly said amiably. She was glad for the diversion, actually. How's it going, Irina? Fine. I just came by, Zach, to tell you I might be a few minutes late for our date tonight, Irina said. I have to help Nanny with her costume. That's okay, Irina, Zach said, stealing a glance at Kelly. Really, don't worry about it. Okay, Irina said. I'll call you and let you know what time. Fine, Zach said nervously. Kelly watched Irina walk off. Then she stood up. I have to go now, she said tightly. Kelly, let me explain, Zach said. Irina and I aren't dating behind Jesse's back. I mean, we are going out, and Jesse doesn't know about it, but it's not what you think. Stop right there, Zach. I've already seen this movie. Kelly stormed. And you have nothing to explain to me. For the first time, I feel sorry for Jesse. She turned around and stomped off. Zach was up to his old two-timing tricks, all right, Kelly thought furiously. And all that talk about dating Jesse, and he was seeing Irina at the same time. Now she remembered why she'd fallen out of love with him in the first place. Jesse was welcome to him. Kelly banged open the door to school. She must have been crazy to think, well, whatever she'd been thinking. Nanny looked all over school for Lisa. She really wanted to talk to her before classes began. She checked the locker room, the gym, the outside stairs, and the cafeteria before she realized where Lisa must be. She burst into the girls' room on the first floor. Lisa was leaning forward towards the mirror, holding up 2 tubes of lipstick toward the light. What do you think, Nanny? She asked. Tremulous rose or scallop shell pink? Pink, Nanny said. She leaned against the sink next to Lisa. Can you talk and primp at the same time? Don't insult me, girlfriend, Lisa said. She waved her lipstick airily. I'm a pro. What's on your mind? If it's private, you'd better check the stalls. Nanny leaned over. All clear. She popped up again. It's about Cal. Lisa's hand jerked, and the pink lipstick streaked across her cheek. Guess I'm not the expert I thought, she muttered. She dampened the tissue and scrubbed her face. Lisa, this courtship ritual is going nowhere, Nanny complained. I gave Cal a soulful look yesterday, just like we practiced, and he asked if I was feeling sick. I complimented him on his cool sneakers, and he looked at me like I was crazy. Then I realized he was wearing boots. I guess I should have checked first. That's key, Lisa agreed. It's driving me crazy, Nanny said. I can't think straight. Yesterday in chemistry, Mr. Trapezi asked me what a heavy metal was, and I said I heard that Cured Meats was an awesome band. Lisa nodded. She'd been pretty occupied herself. Yesterday she'd gone through the entire morning without realizing she was wearing 1 pink sock and 1 yellow sock. Everyone at school had thought she was starting a new fashion trend. She'd spotted a couple sophomores in different colored socks this morning. While she was glad of the proof that she was a Bayside fashion leader, she wasn't crazy about the remainder of her brain was fried. That's why I've come up with a new plan, Nanny continued. I've got to find out once and for all if I have a chance with Cal. I want you to talk to him, Lisa. Me? Lisa said. Gosh, Nanny, I don't know. You're the perfect person, Nanny insisted. You can find out if Cal is going to the masquerade ball. Ask him if he has a date. Whatever you do, don't mention my name, though. I don't want to be completely humiliated. Just hint a lot. That way, if he's not interested, I can always say you're talking about someone else. Will you do it, Lisa? Lisa put the lipstick back in her purse and pretended to search for her blush. She was stalling, and she knew it. She wasn't crazy about talking to Cal on Nanny's behalf, but Nanny was looking at her with those big brown calf eyes of hers. And their project for Mrs. McCracken was on courtship. She couldn't back down now. Okay, she told Nanny. I'll do it. Jessie slipped into the costume Kelly had made. Kelly had dropped it off on the way to school, and Mrs. Spano had left it on Jessie's bed while Jessie was in the shower. She lifted the shimmering green gossamer out of the box. Lisa had done an awesome job, Jessie had to admit. The top was spring green velvet with dangling glass beads. The pants were wide and gauzy. Jessie looked at the clock. She knew she was going to be late for her first class, but she didn't resist trying it on. It would only take a minute. She wiggled out of her jeans and t-shirt and slipped on the cropped velvet top and the gauzy pants. Then she quickly ran over to the full-length mirror. Jessie gasped in delight. It was perfect! She'd add bracelets and long, dangling earrings. Slater would completely freak when he saw her. Jessie began to twirl in front of the mirror in delight. She loved the way the material moved. Under the lights at the country club, the glass beads would shimmer. She twirled faster and faster, imagining herself at the country club with everyone watching her admiringly, especially one pair of the soft brown eyes. Suddenly, Jessie noticed a piece of gossamer material fly off. It drifted slowly down to the floor. As she twirled, other pieces of material began to fly off. The seam on the outside of her pants separated. Another piece of material flapped and then flew off. In just another moment, Jessie was standing in front of the mirror in her underwear. "Kelly Kapowski, you're dead meat!" she shrieked.